Green Race from May 2012.
Leave us sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection. Question number 7, the Honourable David Parker.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Finance. Does he stand by his statement in September 2010 that, and I quote, "there is no doubt that unemployment has peaked"?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes, I do stand by that statement. Yes, I do. While the HLFS measure of unemployment has remained higher than anyone would have liked, the number of people actually receiving an unemployment benefit did peak in 2010. Currently, 50,000 people are receiving the unemployment benefit, which is 13,000 lower than in September 2010.
The Honourable David Parker.
Parliamentary. How does the third consecutive quarterly increase in unemployed to 175,000 New Zealanders, a 12.4% increase in just a year, show the economy's in good health?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, the figures on the HLFS survey reflect the weakening of the economy over recent months, and that is now widely seen as driven significantly by the state of the world economy. However, the number of people on unemployment benefit has continued to drop. And I'll repeat what I said to the member before. Currently there are under 50,000 people receiving the unemployment benefit, which is 13,000 lower than in September 2010. But both of these figures indicate, both of these measures of employment indicate that it is hard for people to find jobs when they lose jobs. That's why we need to focus even more strongly on supporting businesses to hire more people.
The Honourable David Parker.
Why did he not advise the Prime Minister that unemployment was on the rise, given that ANZ National and Burl had both predicted it rising to 7%?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I'm always discussing these matters with the Prime Minister, but I don't think that even ANZ or Labor's favourite forecaster, Bill, forecast that the HLFS would show a large drop, a large increase in unemployment in Auckland at the same time as the number of people on benefit in Auckland continues to drop. Nevertheless, the economy is weaker than we would want to see it. And I hope that the Labor Party will support the government's efforts to get behind business to help make it easier for them to create more jobs and pay higher incomes.
The Honourable David Parker.
Does he stand by his acknowledgement that National promised that if elected there would be 170,000 more jobs?
The Honourable Bill English.
Mr. Speaker, yes.
Andrew Williams.
Mr. Speaker, supplementary to the Minister of Finance. Was the Prime Minister correct to say to media last week that, quote, "we've grown 57,000 jobs in the last 12 to 18 months," unquote, given that the Minister of Finance then told TV3 News' Duncan Garner on Friday that the number of new jobs created in the past 2 years is in fact 26,000?
The Honourable Bill English.
Well, Mr. Speaker, I need to verify just what the member is quoting from, but there's no doubt there have been less new jobs created than was expected. I think that's pretty clear. And for people out in the market, it's pretty tough trying to find a job. And I would hope that that party will also get behind the government's efforts to assist businesses to make it easier for them to hire more people, because that's actually where new jobs come from.
Point of order, Andrew Williams.
A point of order, Mr. Speaker. I seek leave to table a document prepared by the Parliamentary Library which contains a quote from the Prime Minister stating that 57,000 new jobs have been created in the last 12 to 18 months.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is objection.
Point of order, Mr. Speaker.
Point of order, Andrew Williams.
Mr. Speaker, I also seek leave to table a document prepared by the Parliamentary Library which contains a quote from the Minister of Finance stating that only 26,000 jobs have been created in the past 2 years and contradicting Mr. Key's claims.
Leave is sought to table that document. Is there any objection? There is. Just before I call the honourable member, it just seems odd to me to have documents prepared by the Parliamentary Library that allegedly contain just one statement. That seems somewhat odd, but anyhow, it's up to the House whether it... Point of order, Andrew Williams.
Just to clarify that, These were media things which were then confirmed by the Parliamentary Library in parliamentary research.
Order.
Parliamentary research.
Order. It was order. It was probably the very issue I was trying to get at, that just we've managed to get rid of seeking leave to table press clippings and that kind of thing, and dressing them up as reports from the Parliamentary Library will not do in the future. Leofa Amulia Asanati Lole-Taylor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My supplementary question is to the Minister of Finance. What is the unemployment rate for Pacific Island people in the latest Household Labour Force survey? And does he agree that this is an appalling figure?
The Honourable Billing.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's around the 15% mark, and it is an appalling figure. And that is why the government is focusing very strongly, particularly for young Pacifica people, on attainment in secondary school. That is, getting more students over through level 2, where the Minister of Education is visiting schools and discussing with them how to get particular numbers such as 17 or 25 more Pacifica students through level 2. We have then put in place a wider series of options and pathways for those students who choose not to go to university and want to find their way into the kind of training they need for further employment. And we believe we are making significant progress in assisting precisely that group to increase its employment rate.
Point of order, Leofa Amulia Asanati Lole-Taylor.
My question was actually asking what is the unemployment rate, and I didn't hear the unemployment rate being answered.
No order, and I apologise to the member, because what's unfair is where a member from the back of the House is asking a question, and there's too much interjection from members from a party that weren't involved in the asking of the question. It's very hard for the member to hear. The Minister actually, from memory, said 15%, and he agreed that it was appalling, which was exactly what the member asked. So I believe her question was answered. But I do ask members to be more reasonable when a member from another party is asking questions. Question number 8, Todd McLeay.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. To the Minister for Climate Change Issues, what steps